He will find out if you've been naughty or nice. Santa Claus is headed your way with gifts for your favorite racers. Hi everyone and welcome to another edition of the Race Report. I'm Ron Hills. This is our final broadcast of the Race Report for this season, so in the next few minutes we'll show you some great gift ideas for the racers and race fans in your life. I'd love to see this Fiat Abarth underneath my Christmas tree, but unfortunately I can't enter the contest. But you can. Here's how.
As many of you know, we are a 501c3, that is tax-deductible organization. And every year we must raise our operating funds through the sale of books and films, and most importantly, our raffle car. And this year's raffle car is a beautiful red, as you've seen on the film, new Fiat Abarth. Along with the Abarth is a trip to Italy. And tickets may be purchased here at the center, or you can email us. There are 3 for $100 or 1 for $40. Now this is a very practical and sporty car that can be driven on the road, and it will suit any purpose. It's got a beautiful 5-speed transmission, and the sale of these tickets will help underwrite our activities, preserving the history of the sport that we all love.
That would make a great Christmas gift along with the trip to Italy. One of the books on sale at the International Motor Racing Research Center in Watkins Glen was recently released by local racer Tony Vecchio.
When I was 2 years old, we moved into our new house up on they called it the Townsend Road back then, and it just happened to be that year. I was already 2 years old, but that year, the first race went by my house. So I tell people I was probably with a loud noise, the smell of the gas and everything else, it probably basically screwed me up the rest of my life. The first one was when I built my little soapbox derby car, and when the racetrack was the present track as it is now up there, it was being built. We took it up there. I got my father to haul me up in the station wagon and coast down what we call the Big Hill, and the Big Hill is now the S's. And I took this little wood cart down that hill, and at the bottom I crashed and destroyed it. It was gone. It was like kindling wood, and like I said in the book, like I was bleeding, and I had pieces of pavement in my shoulder, and like the racetrack became part of me, and I became part of Watkins Glen. Started with go-karts, and I didn't really, I like them, but when you get into the real racing go-karts, they're pretty fast, and I never really liked racing anything where I was the roll bar. All my racing prior was dirt, and when you go from dirt to asphalt, it's quite a jump. Like I was running dirt late models, and the first ride I got in an asphalt car was a modified. Well, when you're going around a dirt track, you're all constantly sliding, so the G-forces aren't really hard on you. But when you get in an asphalt modified and you go around the corner and it sticks, all of a sudden you've got these G-forces you've never felt before. And the first night in the first warm-up, I got so dizzy I had to pull in. and the car owner says, "Get back out there, you'll be all right." And I went back out, and it never happened again. But asphalt racing, I really like that. It's really precise, and the part that I don't like is you're too dependent on the car and the tires. It's if you have a bad car and the tires aren't new, you could put Mario Andretti in it and he wouldn't be able to get around the track. And where on dirt you can drive the car, you can change, you can do things. George Duke, who owns Zippo Lighters, he put me through the Skip Barber competition school at Watkins, 3-day school, and that was awesome. And after that, I got to do a lot of testing in his team, Grand Am team, and running Ford Mustangs. And I did a lot of testing up here at Watkins and Mossport, Canada, and that was really fun. I mean, but actual racing, I never raced. In a race up here at Watkins, we did some racing with midgets, the Can-Am Midget Series, but that was on an oval type track on the inner loop, probably around 93, 92. I went to work for the racetrack as a graphics designer, but I got sent, because I own a sign business, I got sent to Talladega Speedway one day to do some signs, and I couldn't figure out why they want me down there. Well, what it turned out to be was they wanted me to paint the grass, the big logos. Well, back then, I never even knew they painted grass. and all of a sudden, here I am down there trying to figure this out, and we finally figured it out. I come back and I told, we had a secretary, Michelle Benjamin, and I'd go in her office and tell her these stories, from these trips. And she was just out of college, and she kept telling me, "Tone man, you got to write these things down." Well, I didn't write them down because, to be honest with you, I don't even read. I mean, I don't even, I don't do it. And one day I got this, I can't remember, it was in 2000, around 2000, laptop computer. I'm sitting in my chair at night in the house and trying to figure out what to do on it, and all of a sudden I just thought of Michelle's telling me, "You got to write this stuff down." So I started typing a few things, and I ended up going to bed that night like 2 in the morning. I couldn't stop because one thing led to another, and you'd remember something else, and you'd keep going. And 4 years later, I got the book done. But if I knew how to type, it'd have been like 4 months. I won't give the story away, but it's a wreck we had at Rolling Wheels Raceway, and working on the car the next day and what happened that night. I'll say that. That was because it taught you a lesson of never to give up. You don't give up. And after that race, that's how we were. I mean, you went into it full bore, or you didn't do it at all. It was a good lesson. Probably, I've met both of them, A.J. Foyt and Mario Andretti. And the influence would be from them would be they drove everything. They didn't come into the sport with money where you bought your ride or anything like that. They started on dirt and ended up, winning the Indy 500. And it shows you what you can do when you really put your heart in it. Well, my daughter Beth helped me with that, and Harriet, my wife, and we looked around, and Gordon Cooper, who's used to be from Watkins Glen. He lives in California now, has a publishing company, so we sent it to several different places. And Gordon really liked the book, and he grabbed it, and here it is. But it is hard to get a book published. You can probably just go to my website, which is VickyOSigns.com, and right on the front page is the book. Click on that, and it'll take you right to Preston Woods Publishing. It puts you right on the link to buy the book. You can come down here and get them and get them signed. And if you want it personalized, you just get a hold of me and come up to my shop, which is a mini museum in itself, and I'll do it. Interviews are tough for me because I always remember things after it's over that I wanted to say, but I don't. I'd just like to thank everybody, and especially Harriet, my wife, because if I hadn't met her in the 80s, that would have been the end of the book. I wouldn't have wrote a book, and so I thank her, and that's about it.
For a huge selection of Christmas gift ideas for the racer in your life, log on to theracereport.tv. Crate Sportsman, Mexican road racing, and a shot at redemption, all still to come on this edition of The Race Report.
Unicorn Electronics in the Valley Plaza, Johnson City has the best pricing and selection of audio, video, and computer cables in the area. Don't spend a fortune on that HDMI cable for your new HD TV or Blu-ray player. Unicorn Electronics has quality cables in the lengths you need at a price you can afford. Expanding your network, Unicorn has the patch cables and accessories to make it happen. When you need to connect, think Unicorn Electronics in the Valley Plaza, Johnson City.
Foundation alert! Foundation alert!
Pick me! Pick me!
We don't badmouth the competition.
Huh?
We just beat them in price, quality, and customer service.
Hi, this is Craig Moss with KRM Foundation Repair. If you got water in the basements, cracked or flaking foundations, foundation walls that are falling in, call us for a free estimate today. We're KRM Foundation Repair. Good as any, better than some.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back to the Race Report. Many racers who believe, as I do, that the future of sportsman racing is with a low-cost crate motor already got their Christmas gift when Dick and Nick Stark founded the Grit Touring Series. Michael Imane has the story.
Nick, tell us how the series got started.
Well, last year, my father, Dick, and I, we wanted to come up with something outside the box, and we got a chance to watch a lot of crate racing. We just love the competitiveness that comes from the crate division, so we decided to put something together, something a little different, show, basically highlight the sportsman division, the crate drivers, get them, competitive purses, and a lot of contingencies and sponsors.
How's the support been for the series this year?
It's been unbelievable. Right now we're 9 events in. We're averaging about 34 cars a show, each show, and we've had a different roster of about 170 cars, so it's been phenomenal. GM, Chevy Performance, came up with a motor that it's sealed from the factory. It's not tampered with. It's about $3,200. Cost-wise, you're looking at one motor versus, you could buy 3 of the crate motors versus the cost of one open motor. They're not tampered with, so all the motors are the same. What you get is what you get. Out of the factory, they're about 350 to 370 horsepower, and that's the same power band through all the motors. They max out at about 5,800 RPMs, and that's where you see the competitive racing.
To what do you attribute the success to your series this year?
What we did is we came up with we wanted a big schedule. There's 18 races, 14 different tracks, but what we did is we said, of those, only 12 will count towards your points. And we know people have family commitments all summer long. They're going to have weddings, birthdays, funerals, whatever it is. And sportsman guys aren't going to have all the money in the world, so there's going to be some shows they're not going to be able to go to. That being said, we're putting out the same product everywhere we go, whether it's minimum it's 1,000 to win and 100 to start. And for the sportsman guys that, normally run as a support division, that's pretty good money.
Who else besides yourself is involved with this?
My father, Dick Stark, him and I are, I'm kind of the voice of things, but he's he's the go-getter. He's the one. He has no problem. He's got the gift of gab, and he'll go after any sponsor. I throw an idea at him, and he makes it happen.
Tell us about your social media involvement and how people get a hold of you guys on social media.
You can find us online at www.gritracingseries.com, or you can find us on facebook.com/gritracingseries. You can contact us via email. It's gritracingseries@gmail.com. Or if anybody has a question, wants to give me a call on the phone, shoot me a text, doesn't matter. That phone number is 803-493-7021.
Michael Silva is a local author who has just released his first novel titled A Shot at Redemption. If the name sounds familiar, it's because his dad, Roy Silva, has been the voice of the Oswego Speedway for the past 50 years. And it's no surprise that the suspense thriller centers around a super-modified driver named Cash Douglas and the historic Oswego Speedway.
My writing career started actually at Oswego Speedway. I spent a number of years writing for the Oswego Eagle, which is the weekly program at the track. And in doing so, I got very close to the sport. I got to know drivers, car owners, crew members, track officials, and although I didn't know it at the time, I guess that sort of planted the seed for this project I'd be taking on down the road. I think the biggest inspiration was Dick Francis, who spent decades writing wonderful mystery novels about horse racing. And I'm not a horse racing fan. I don't know much about it. I don't especially care to. But he was such a fantastic storyteller that his novels were great. And I decided if he could do that, if he could make me love horse racing for as long as it took me to read one of his books, I was hoping that I could do the same with a mystery novel about auto racing. My father has been announcing races there for 50 years now, so I really grew up at Oswego, have always been a fan of the track and of the sport, and I guess it's just in my blood. There were a couple of scenes, a couple events that were inspired by actual goings-on, but for the most part, it is a fictional story. Like you said, it's set at the Oswego Speedway primarily. The main character is this guy by the name of Cash Douglas, and he is a veteran race car driver and immensely talented, but also pretty much despised by everybody he competes against. And that's because he's made his career just jumping from car to car, track to track, following the big paydays, and he had the talent and the skill to get away with it, and very good reasons, personal reasons, and he stepped on a lot of toes, and his reputation kind of went in the toilet, to put it very bluntly. And then about the time his personal situation improves, he receives what he believes is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sign on with this brand new race team. They're going to race at Oswego. It's a company called Racetech, and the owner of the company, they manufacture and sell custom race parts. He's got a couple of stores and wants to franchise his business, decides to build the race team to publicize the effort, and thinks that hiring a black sheep like Cash Douglas is a great way to get people talking. And he gets a little more than what he bargained for. It starts with broken windows, and that leads to sabotage, assault, attempted murder, and Cash needs to try to figure out what's going on before it's too late. There were a few challenges. The first one was no different for me than any other first-time author, and it's simply trying to overcome everything you don't know about writing a novel until you sit down and try to knock out 200 or 300 or 400 pages of a single coherent storyline. So there were a lot of hurdles with that. But the other one is a lot more personal. I have an eyesight condition. I'm legally blind, and I can't get a regular driver's license, let alone take a race car out on the track. And here I am trying to put my readers inside a pair of shoes that I have never worn and can never wear. And that's creating a main character that's a race car driver. I guess I would have to say I met that challenge very well, because the feedback I've received so far has been very, very strong. If you look it up on Amazon, where it's listed right now, I think the average customer rating is upwards of 4.8, so I'm very happy about that. Right now it's available on paperback at Amazon, the Kindle ebook at Amazon, the Nook book at barnesandnoble.com, and also Coastal 181, which is a website any race fan should be familiar with. It's devoted entirely to books and DVDs with a racing theme. And then as of just a few days ago, as a matter of fact, A Shot at Redemption is available at River's End Bookstore on Bridge Street in Oswego, so I'm very happy about that as well. I plan on being at River's End Bookstore in the spring. I'm sure I'll be at Oswego Speedway at least a couple of times next year. And anytime anybody wants a signed copy, michaelsova.com, I've got links there for Twitter, for Facebook, for email. There's information about the book. If you want to purchase a copy, if you want to get a signed copy, shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to make that happen.
Will this success be followed by a sequel?
A second book, yes. A sequel, I'm not so sure. I have a second book that I'm nearly finished with the first draft, and it's actually set in Binghamton. That one has nothing to do with racing, so whether or not there will be a sequel to the Cash Douglas story, it's a little too early to say. If you're unfamiliar with super modified racing, the two things that you should do are first, buy a copy of A Shot at Redemption. Great way to pass the time until racing season cranks up again. And then once it does, make a trip up to Oswego Speedway, because it's pretty unforgettable.
Foundation alert! Foundation alert!
Pick me! Pick me!
We don't badmouth the competition.
Huh?
We just beat them in price, quality, and customer service.
Hi, this is Craig Moss with KRM Foundation Repair. If you got water in the basements, cracked or flaking foundations, foundation walls that are falling in, call us for a free estimate today. We're KRM Foundation Repair. Good as any, better than some.
Bye-bye.
98.1 The Hawk, #1 for 20 in a row.
This is Luke Bryan.
This is Eric Church.
This is Tim McGraw.
Binghamton's hot new country, 98.1 The Hawk.
Welcome back to the Race Report. The International Motor Racing Research Center is more than just the largest repository of racing information in the world. It's a great place to do your Christmas shopping. You'll find hundreds of gift ideas for your favorite race fan, starting at just $1. Wall art, videos, books. For more about the center, log on to racingarchives.org. This Saturday, you can scratch some items off your gift list and enjoy a fascinating presentation about the Panamericana races, those famous 2,000-plus mile events that spanned Mexico. At 1 p.m. is the drawing for the Fiat Abarth and trip to Italy, followed by the Panamericana presentation. It all takes place at the International Motor Racing Research Center on Decatur Street in Watkins Glen. Also on hand will be author Tony Vicchio to autograph copies of his new book titled Shifting Gears. Welcome back to the Race Report. The white flag is out, and I can't think of a better way to end this show and our season than with a look toward the future. Last year, he was the Miami Dolphins at Chemung Speedrome in the Bandolera division. This year, he did have a couple of races that he didn't win. David French joins us. David, still a terrific season you've had.
Yeah, it's a great season. We had 10 wins at Chemung Speedrome, and so far we have 11 at Bethel Motor Speedway.
Now compare the two tracks for us. A lot of our viewers are from the Southern Tier. They're familiar with Chemung, but not everybody gets a chance to go down to Bethel.
Yeah, Bethel's quite different. It's a short quarter-mile speedway. It's tighter than Chemung. The straightaways are a lot shorter, and it's a lot smoother than Chemung.
How many changes can you make to your Bandolero car to race at Chemung and down there?
To try and stay competitive, a lot of people will change springs and gear and some things that'll help with ride height and just overall handling. We try to stay with a neutral setup, that way it's not going to hurt us in any way.
Now, have you ventured into some other types of racing during the past season?
Not yet, but next year we're looking to go into a different genre of racing by starting to expand into a dirt racing program, as we hope to race in New York and Pennsylvania in a dirt 305 sprint car.
Sprint cars, certainly one of the training grounds for some of the greatest drivers in all forms of racing. The 305 series, which series are you looking at right now?
Right now we're just looking to run the local series and a couple of tracks that run 305s weekly.
Any specific tracks that you would like to be able to compete at on a regular basis?
I'd like to be able to run Dundee. I'd like to be able to run Thunder when they get up there, and 5 Mile and Pencan.
Okay, looking back to this season, who are some of the businesses that have helped you out with sponsorship and some of the people on your pit crew that have made it possible for you to go racing this year?
Our biggest people that have always helped us is my dad, Charlie Fulton, Abe Romanek, Doug Wheaton, and my Uncle French. Sponsor-wise, everybody from last year is still on the car, and they helped us. That would be Marcus Cole Construction, Sopranos Family Deli, French's Auto Parts, ROC Race of Champions, Wagner Logging, Klinger Power Sports, and 2 new sponsors of Benjamin's Garage and Costy's Energy Services.
Now, even with a busy racing schedule, you still managed to get the car out recently at some car shows.
Yes, we did. Last week we were able to attend the annual car show in Warren Center that is actually hosted by one of my greatest mentors, Doug Wheaton. He's a great inspiration of me and why he continues to make me drive and strive to be a better racer.
How important is it to get the cars out in front of people who are not race fans in order to get them interested in the sport?
It's not only important for people who have been away from racing and you want to bring them back, but you always want to find new people that can be in racing, because that could help them to bring other people to the track, and it could also potentially help you yourself by bringing in a new sponsor.
A young man who reminds us that there is a bright future ahead for our sport. The Race Report will begin its 35th season next May. Until then, I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, season's greetings, Happy Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad. In other words, I'll see you at the races.